be left with Sterling and Trossard, which most people would go, I think I'll have those as wide men, thanks very much. I mean, Arsenal, to me, I think it's an interesting dynamic, an interesting metaphor that you use, huffing and puffing to nothing. Because, I don't see Arsenal winning the Champions League.
Buzzing, isn't he?
It's difficult to see. No, well, look, the reasons why that sort of rhetoric gets put on your toes is because you're not objective. You sit in the studio week in, week out.
I've just started the show by saying congratulations to Manchester United.
Because you have to.
No, because that's the sporting element
because
to this,
it's not about sporting element, it's about
subjectivity.
subjectivity.
It's about fun. You're a punchy Judy show?
No, not
or
at all.
We're a proper show here?
Not at all.
Yeah.
No,
let's have an element of
Martin,
balance. Arsenal have gone out of the FA Cup.
Martin, the reasons why
there's no point in both of you.
The reasons why you get put behind the 8 ball with Arsenal is because you flatly refuse in every single conversation to be subjective. So whilst it becomes a bit of sport at your expense, I don't need
So
Jim
tell me
to
why I'm
tag
not being
team
subjective
you,
this morning then.
Well, the only point that we're talking about
I'm
is
saying
the fact
that
you've been
Arsenal's
magnanimous.
they had poor finishing
But you
yesterday.
just sat here and said at the beginning of this conversation, well, they've got terrible, they've only got 2 wide players, and those 2 wide players are Trossard and Sterling. These are difficult circumstances.
They still had enough on the pitch yesterday to
and they should have won the game. And they
created enough opportunities.
And ultimately, the question is, are they huffing and puffing their way to nothing? Enough. And Arteta, to me, is treading on a pathway that will produce Arsenal very little, because he spends most of his time finding mitigation or excuses. This argument was, there's no contrition from Arteta. It's simply, we didn't get what we deserved. If you don't take your chances against a 10-man Manchester United, you do not deserve to win a football match.
Quality of the striker is in question right now. The quality of the striker, everyone in front of goal, there were other opportunities, weren't there? For other players. But you
took great delight in telling me, when I used to make the observation about Havertz, that he must be a tax write-off, that now that he's scored a few goals, all of a sudden that's been corrected itself. Now he's reverted back to type, which he couldn't hit a cow's backside with a banjo. Arsenal now are slightly maligned because they haven't got a centre forward.
Well, this is it. And this was actually put to Arteta pre-match, Martin. The need for a centre forward. It's not just us. It's a conversation amongst many, many Arsenal fans, and this was Arteta on that.
You look at an example of a game, or 2 or 3, that's a very short sample. You cannot use that. We don't use any short samples because they don't correlate to team performance. When you look a year or 2, team performance, scores, the amount of players that they are involved, then there is no discussion that we have to focus on our players.
So right now you aren't having discussions with those above you about reinforcing in that area in this transfer window?
We always have discussions with the ones above, discussing how we can improve the team, always, whether the market is open or closed, because we have to plan for what the necessities are right now and what the necessities are mid and long term. So those discussions are always open.
So, the fact is, Martin, they've been found wanting in this area.
Yeah.
Maybe a good out-and-out striker yesterday might have changed the dynamic and the outcome of that game. So they've got until February the 3rd. That's deadline day. Strangely, it goes into February. Is it your wish, more than anything else, that they strengthen in that area?
No. They got to do what they feel is right for them. There's obviously an issue in the striker area, isn't there? If you watch back-to-back Newcastle and Manchester United game, they're exactly the same. I thought Newcastle played a whole lot better than Manchester United. Manchester United just sat on the edge of their box.
Do Arsenal not need a striker?
They need also, Jim, to have players that run at players. It's all pass, very predictable. They need better variation, so that can be a tactical thing within the group. You might be at best be able to get 1 player in, 2 players.
But when the journalist asked Arteta there, though, Martin, in that news conference before the match, are you having conversations with those above you about signing a striker? We have conversations all the time. Yeah, great, fine. But answer the question, should he not say yes or no? Yeah, we're actually now quite far down the line in terms of discussions.
So you're telling me how we should answer his questions?
Look, I'm only saying what I hear a lot of Arsenal fans say to me. I was in a taxi yesterday. The first thing the Arsenal supporting taxi driver told me, oh my God, we've got to go to Newcastle and sign Isak. They're not going to get Isak.
No, they're not going to get Isak.
But should they have someone that can... The most important thing is putting the ball in the back of the net.
100%. And that player...
They couldn't do it yesterday.
That player gives...
So is Havertz the answer?
Jim, they can't put the ball in the back. It's glaringly obvious that they'll buy somebody, won't they, in time. It's whether or not they buy now, and is it seen to be the right person? Is it a panic buy? Or will have they got someone lined up?
But you're agreed that it's costing them.
Of course it's costing. It's obvious, isn't it? It's glaringly obvious.
No need to be so defensive,
it's not an elephant
Martin.
in the room.
We're only trying to source the problem, and the problem is a lack of striker.
I'm not enjoying the situation that Arsenal are in. Do you know? I'm pretty certain those players are hurting this morning. You know, but the only way they get out of it is to start. If they lose belief, they lose confidence, the whole thing's going to just fall away. So the manager's trying to hold on to his players. There's Simon ridiculing him, saying, "Oh, it's pathetic what he's saying." No. What does he want to lose the dressing room? No, you keep together. You stick together in this difficult moment. But yes, when it comes to it, they're not putting the ball in the back of the net. The goal scorer makes everyone believe that anything is achievable. Right now, the belief's ebbing away. I thought the atmosphere yesterday, whether that was because it was a lot of the season ticket holders weren't there, it wasn't the same atmosphere that